Crown Wars The Black Prince. It is a tough game, especially on the harder difficulties, and because of this, your party combination is gonna matter massively. Hello and welcome to the Critically Curious on a Monk, and today, yes, we are in Crown Wars The Black Prince. This video is to help you guys pick what companions you're supposed to bring along, what companions I would recommend you dive into. Now, if you level up your main town a couple of times, you're going to be able to bring up to 6 companions along to any one mission. Now, when you're bringing along 6 companions, you kind of got a few different options on what you can pick and why you should pick them. Now, apart from a few specialist levels, which will pop up every now and again, you can pretty much only have 2 of any one class. Now, in my opinion, there are some classes that are better than others. I'm going to be telling you exactly what I would typically bring and what I would stay away from, and of course, why I pick these classes. Now, the 3 classes I tend to pick are the alchemist, the beastmaster, and the crusader. And there's a few different reasons for these. First of all, I would recommend picking 3 types of troops that you want to specialize in. The reason for this is because within the forge, you can actually research better armors. Now, it costs quite a lot, especially on the later difficulties. Therefore, if you're only focusing down on 3 different classes, then it's going to be cheaper in the long run. And in my opinion, these 3 classes are better than the others within the game, and I'm going to be telling you exactly why I believe that too. But before we get into that, a quick plug for the old Discord. Yes, that's right, we do have a Discord server. We've got a ton of gamers within that server as well, and if you're looking to play Crown Wars, then it's a good place to go if you want someone to chat to. And of course, you can find that link down in the description of the video. First of all, let's talk about the alchemists. Now, in my opinion, the alchemists are the best unit in the game. They really are the unit that binds the whole group together. Now, really why this is their ability to heal other characters. Now, you have characters and setups where you can heal yourself, but the alchemist actually allows you to heal your companions, which in my opinion is really useful. Not only that, but they can heal them from a distance as well. And of course, if you are bringing 2 alchemists along, then that is twice the amount of healing. You can either specialize in a field medic too. Now, the alchemist actually has 2 runs. They have a poison run, and then they also have a leveling up system where it's predominantly fire that is their go-to here. Now, I wouldn't necessarily specialize in any one side. I would kind of mix and match as you go along. There are some very powerful combos here. I would always choose field medic though, because as I said, this is a tough game, and having the ability to heal your companions is so important. Now, the alchemist comes with 2 different choices of weapon, the bow or the crossbow. Now, personally, I go with a crossbow, but either one is a good option here. Now, the crossbow typically has, I believe, 1 extra damage, but it does come with the -1 to movement speed. What I would say is, if you're going to pick your range units, make sure they're all using the same type of weapon. Now, next up, of course, we have the Beastmasters. I love these things. They are absolutely brilliant. Not only do you get a companion to do what you want with, but you also get a pet as well, that being a dog or a bear. Both of them are very good. Personally, I prefer the bear. The reason for that is in the later levels, the bear gets armor. Not only does it get armor, but it also has a slightly bigger health pool. Now, it's not to say that the dog isn't good, because it definitely has its benefits, being able to slow an enemy or being able to inflict bleed upon an enemy. The Beastmaster themselves are also very good. They have a decent amount of health, and as you level up their armor, they're able to get a good amount of armor too. Now, the Beastmasters can use a melee or a ranged unit. I recommend a ranged unit. They already come with a melee unit, therefore making them be ranged just makes the most sense. If your troop isn't in a frontline battle, then they're not going to get injured as much too, and especially as they come with that bear or that dog, I don't see the point in giving them a sword or an axe. Now, these guys do also have a very powerful combo. In fact, the very first ability that you unlock on the left hand side, in my opinion, is one of the best abilities in the game. We'll show you it a little bit later in the video, but if you just get your animal next to somebody that you plan on shooting with your crossbow, use this ability and you will deal an extra attack damage. Extra attacks is always a good thing. A little bit later on, you also get the ability to heal yourself or your animal, so that's a pretty good perk to pick up too. Now let's talk about the Crusaders. Crusaders that are real powerhouses on that battlefield. Ultimately, they will have the most health and the most armor when you've leveled up. Now, as you can see, my character's armor is leveled up pretty loads. We do have a ton of armor with him, and he does have a very nice and impressive health pool. But the best thing about the Crusaders are the weapons that they can pick. Now, you do have the option of giving them a sword or a mace. Now, personally, I wouldn't do this. I feel like giving the Crusaders a one-handed weapon is kind of handicapping them. You don't get any extra abilities than you do with the duelist, for instance, and you don't necessarily deal any more damage either. So I would give it a rest, give it a skip when it comes to those one-handed weapons. As you can see, the duelist has exactly the same perks when it comes to actually leveling up that weapon. Especially when you consider the 3 other unique weapons that the Crusaders can actually wield. Now, you can choose from a claymore, a warhammer, or a halberd, all 3 of them being very, very good options. Now, I really do like using the Warhammer. The Obliterator, the last perk you unlock with it, is just so worthwhile. The Claymore has an ability to attack in a sweep motion, meaning you can attack 2 or 3 targets that are stood in front of you. And the Halberd, if you manage to line up 2 enemies and you hit them with your standard attack, not only will you attack both, but you will hit them again, essentially meaning technically you could do 4 hits in 1 turn. And let's not forget, these guys hit hard too, so the halberd is possibly the biggest way to damage an enemy, but I do absolutely love that warhammer, and if you put in the time to level it up, it's worthwhile. Now, that's not to say the duelist isn't good. It is good and it can be effective. However, I do think the Crusaders are just better than these guys. These guys are weapons specialists after all. They can switch out different sets, which is kind of handy, and of course they do use the one-handed weapons. They've got a few perks that definitely can come in handy, but honestly, I just prefer the Crusaders because of their extra armor, more health, and more brutal weaponry. And in last place, you do have the flyers. Now, personally, I just don't dig them. They do have an area of effect where they can throw caltropes over the battleground, and of course if enemies walk on them, they will be slowed and it would deal a little bit of damage, but it's such a little amount of damage, it's almost not even worth using. Not to mention, your own people do get injured if they walk upon them. These guys are pretty much just range units as well. They don't have the health, they don't have the armor, and I just think they're a poor excuse for the alchemists. Once again, I'm absolutely not saying the duelists or the flyers are not worth using, but in my opinion, they're just 4th and 5th on the list. Now, earlier in the video, I mentioned how I'd have all of my ranged units using these same weapons. Now, that is because resources are not as plentiful as we would like. However, a bonus to using just 3 types of units within a game is that you can level all of them up all together. So that way, if I train and learn about the alchemist armor or the crusader armor or the beastmaster's armor, that is 2 units that is getting that level up, not just the one. Just like if I level up the crossbow, that is 4 of my party getting a level up, not just one. Therefore, you're saving resources, meaning you're going to have better gear later down the line. Now, when I very first started, I was researching this and that, and I wasn't specializing, and because of that, I was getting too far behind. This way, everything's being leveled up as soon as I've got those resources. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, the Beastmasters have a very strong combo, one that I like to open with because, of course, it refreshes constantly. So if you attack a target with your ability and have a beast next to that target, they will essentially do an extra attack. So I can move my Beastmaster into position. Then I can move my beast next to the target I intend to shoot. Then if I use my ability, I will shoot the target. That gets its own percentage modifier, and then my bear or my dog will also be able to do an extra bonus attack. That's without them consuming an action point themselves. Therefore, I have essentially created an extra attack. It's a very, very powerful combo, and one I tend to use quite often. Now, the reason I think the alchemists are the best unit in the game isn't because of their health pool or their damage output. It is because of their AoE attack damages. Now, they can do poison damage and fire damage. They can also do oil slicks, which slow the party, which slow the enemies, which of course then can be set on fire, creating a fire field that you yourself don't want to walk through, but equally they don't want to walk through either. And of course, as you get 2 action points, it means you can set up some very, very powerful combos. And if you're bringing along 2 alchemists, then that's even more debuffs than you can put on the enemies on turn 1. Not to mention weaken, which will essentially weaken everyone that comes in contact with it. Also means that they receive extra damage when you go and attack them with one of your melee troops. I should also mention, when it comes to those alchemists, when it comes to those beastmaster who have ranged weapons, you're thinking, hold on a minute, surely melee is more reliable. Well, it turns out that ranged attacks don't really get a debuff if you're too close to an enemy. Maybe this will change later down the line, but at the moment, that's the way the game works. But there we have it, guys. Those are my top tips when it comes to party combinations, which troops I would use and why I would use them. If you've got any other tips yourselves, pop them down in the comments for the rest of the community. And of course, as ever, guys, I've been a monk who's been City Curious. I will see you in the next video real soon. If you enjoyed the video, do me a big favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Until next time, happy gaming.